Hey, what's up? Welcome back. Thanks for being a subscriber. I assume you guys are all subscribers. So thanks for clicking on the channel. If you're not a subscriber, please click subscribe because I'd like to keep you. I'm all about retention here. Uh, here at Mac the Movie Guy. I'm John Stark, and I'm a blind film critic. And what I do is I like to talk about audio description. I like to talk about all of the joys of it when titles have it, and I like to talk about why things should have it. And specifically, I've started expanding my reach to services that do not have audio description. And one of the things we're going to talk about today is She Loves Me, which is on Broadway HD. And Broadway HD currently does not support audio description. However, I think they should. Live theater does support audio description, and if this probably when this was on Broadway, there was audio description. This was like 2016, so I will say I feel like audio description is becoming more and more prevalent now. 2016 isn't that far away when this revival hit, so I'm not, I don't know, but I feel like this probably had audio description when they filmed this. So there might have even been an existing audio track that they just needed to repurpose and record for their streaming service. And it's just apathy. It's just ignorance and apathy is the excuse. It's not caring or not knowing to care. One of those two things. But that's why I'm reviewing stuff from Broadway HD now, as well as some other streaming services like Stars and MGM Plus and BritBox and just expanding my reach. So it's a musical comedy that features this is a revival, I should say. This is the revival cast of a musical comedy that premiered a while ago. In case it feels old-fashioned to you to have people who work in department stores at perfume counters selling fragrances. That's what this is. And it's a little like You've Got Mail, where two people who are polar opposites and they end up writing to each other, and they don't realize that their pen pals that they adore are actually the other person that they hate. So that's the gimmick here, is that this guy played by Zachary Levi and a girl played by Laura Benanti are two people who at work butt heads all the time and can't stand each other, and then they go home and they're in this pen pal service and they write letters to each other back and forth that are these awesome, amazing things, and they feel like they have this deep connection and they want to meet. And of course the comedy keeps going from there. And there are a lot of side characters in this. Jane Krakowski is in this. She pops up in a supporting role. She's hilarious. She's always hilarious. She's hilarious in everything she does. But this is it's a fun musical. It's a fun, light, romantic comedy. And this is absolutely the right cast for this musical. Even the lesser known actors, the ones that I'm not familiar with, that I can't name off the top of my head, all really bring a lot to the show. A lot of energy. There's so many songs in here that are classics that I've heard. I work in music theater, and I've heard a lot of these songs used as audition pieces. Just like the title song, She Loves Me, has been used. But also Ice Cream. Ice Cream gets used all the time, as does A Trip to the Library. Those are songs that I hear in auditions all the time. And I don't know if kids are just choosing the songs because they're funny or if they've actually seen the show. So this feels like one of those questions, like, did you guys get to see this? Because it's hilarious. It feels a little bit old-fashioned, but it also doesn't. There's something about it that still feels like it's not too far removed from the kinds of experiences that we have today. It's just nobody has pen pals anymore, and nobody goes to department stores. But these characters don't feel like they're in the past. They don't feel like they're in some sort of weird time capsule. they very much feel like they could be in this moment today. That they experience a lot of the similar things that we experience today. It's very similar to something like How to Succeed in Business. He's been working really hard at this company and wants to move up. There's also a delivery boy who also would really love an actual job and to stop being a delivery boy. And he wants to move up. So it's a lot of that sort of negotiating of levels within the business. They have a boss who's really grouchy at the beginning, really grumpy. He has his reasons, but then he changes his mind. There is what I would call maybe like a suicide attempt. So if you're somebody who doesn't really, who avoids all those kind of things, there's a failed attempt in here. When somebody finds out that their spouse is cheating on them, they do not take that well. But nobody dies in this. It's a musical comedy. But that's probably the darkest moment in the whole show. I'll bring it up because I know we all have trigger warnings nowadays. As far as not having audio description, I'm sure the costuming here was just amazing. I'm sure the set design was amazing. I'm sure this is a bright, colorful, lush musical that has a certain look to it to fit a certain period. And it would be interesting to know how they chose to do that. Like, what period did they choose? Because I think this is a musical that can be moved into different periods. Because even in like the 90s, we still had pen pals and we still had, department stores with perfume counters. So it's not like you don't have to go all the way back to when this thing was written. It can be in other time frames. I don't know if you can fully update it. Because again, I think kids today would be like, I don't know what a pen pal is. So, they're communicating with strangers online all the time on their Instagram. Anybody who likes and follows them, they're like, I don't need pen pals. I got like 2,000 subscribers I've never met, and I talk to them all the time. I got all these followers. They're not even in this country. Some of them talk to me in other languages. I don't know. So pen pals have gone the way, but it's a really energetic cast with really nice voices. Zachary Levi, I know we know him primarily for film and television between Chuck and Shazam, but he's done some really nice Broadway theater work. Not just this, but also First Date, which at some point I'll review because that's also on BroadwayHD. And Laura Benanti's voice is gorgeous. She's definitely a queen of music theater, and it's such a lovely voice. And she also is really funny whenever she gets a chance to be really funny. It's so nice. She was in a musical called Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, and she has a song called Model Behavior that is just perfection. So yes, it's a great cast. I'm super happy. I really enjoyed this. I don't know. It's my favorite musical of all time, but I enjoyed seeing it cohesively. It's like I've heard all these songs before. I've even picked some songs for my ensembles and stuff. I've done 12 Days to Christmas and pulled that out and done it obviously during a holiday season. There are very few Christmas musicals. You pretty much have to do all of the Christmas songs at some point, or you just keep doing the same one over and over. So I was desperately looking for other Christmas songs, but it's a really fun song, and it was a nightmare to do, but it just keeps speeding up like that. But this cast is flawless on that song. It's so good to hear that song sung correctly instead of with students. I know that has nothing to do with the production of the song, just personal note. But I would really love it for BroadwayHD to consider adding audio description, because guess what? blind people love theater too. And I will get around to reviewing a straight play, because there are straight plays on Broadway HD too. There are non-musicals. I promise you I will review one of those, and we'll talk about the pros and cons of that. But right now we're missing a lot of set design and costumes, entrances and exits, stuff like that. Who's on stage, like how many background characters are on stage, how many rest of the ensemble are on stage. Just as much stuff as you can include of that. It's tough because this show kind of non-stops, but this has an entr'acte, and it has an act two entr'acte as well, where there's a little bit of an instrumental before the show kind of gets going. So you at least have that time to establish what the initial set looks like. No one cares about entr'actes. I'm sorry. It's a score. It's film score, essentially, and we talk over a film score. So why wouldn't we talk over music theater score? No one's singing. It's a great time to establish the set and what it looks like, and get people prepared. And at least bare minimum, we would have those moments to set up something. But instead, we have nothing. This one, the last one I reviewed from Broadway HD was Toxic Avenger, which just had a lot of gurgling noises for a really uncomfortable amount of time. This one kind of has music from the beginning, so you always feel like you're building up to something. So it feels like that beginning music, it feels like that entr'acte at the beginning of the show. So it's less like it's leaving you in the lurch of, when is this show starting? I mean, obviously they're doing opening title credits, right? So they're showing you the who's in this, because they're trying to make it sort of like a movie version of it. So we're just missing credits, which we also would need to miss if we had audio description. Anyway, so let's get audio description on Broadway HD. Like and subscribe so that we can get noticed by Broadway HD and get them to add audio description to their shows. As far as the musical, I'm going to give She Loves Me an A-. I like the show. It's not my favorite musical, but it's in the second tier. It's got a lot of great music in it. And it's really entertaining, and I would highly recommend it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I do have a website, MacTheMovieGuy.com. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or Threads at MacTheMovieGuy. You can go to the audio description project, adb.acb.org. It'll let you know what is audio description and where you can watch it. And you can go to the ADNA.org, that's the ADNA.org, and it'll let you know who is narrating something when it does have audio description. You can look up narrators and other people who work in the audio description industry on that website. So I encourage you to do that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will watch something else and see you guys on the other side.